Hello everybody and welcome to the Astrological Pit Stop, which is a podcast and show that talks about Formula One and astrology. And if you've been watching my regular YouTube videos about Formula One, then you'll be, very excited to see some of this content. And I always really love seeing people's comments and seeing a few familiar faces. So I always think it's really interesting to have a very highly technical field like Formula One be enmeshed with astrology. We have first mover advantage here, like no one is doing what we're doing or what I'm doing, so I guess I'm really just figuring it out as I go. But also I think it's interesting because back in the day, astrologers would be used for kings and kingdoms, and it's kind of a hop and a skip from a mindset coach to a spiritual advisor. So I don't really see why there is so much, friction between the two. I think it's because astrology is seen as a pseudoscience because there's no technical backing, but study enough charts, study enough races, there'll be data. And we've actually seen it. We've noticed there's things that take place that we can start looking at. So today I'm going to be talking about why Kimi Antonelli must take his engine penalty at Monza over Baku. So both George and Kimi are due an engine penalty by Mercedes for new components used in their car. Now, George is due to take his a little bit later, I think, because he's not used all of his components up, but Kimi has, so he's pretty much having to take it as soon as possible. Now, this means that he will either have to take it at Monza or Baku. Now, it's not strictly you have to take it. You could push it off till later if you want to, but you really want to be choosing tracks that have good overtaking zones. So something like Prima Variante at Monza, where it's high speed then goes into very heavy braking, is really perfect for overtaking. Now, the problem with Monza is that it's Kimi's home race, right? It's Italian. And they took Imola off the calendar, so he does not have his home Bologna race anymore. So Monza's kind of the next biggest thing. Now, he's kind of had some strange feelings with Monza because, of course, the first time he ever drove the F1 car for practice before he got announced as an F1 driver was he crashed in Monza, didn't he? And it was all a bit sort of like, oh God, in front of everybody, the pressure. So I think sometimes the pressure of patriotism can really affect you. Now, if you've got like a 10 place grid drop from an engine penalty, you might be like, and I ain't gonna win, the pressure's taken off, it might be easier for me. Baku also offers some similar alternatives for overtaking. Now, astrologically, to me, it's very obvious that Monza is better than Baku, and I'm going to explain why. Now, if we look at the chart for Monza, the event chart, it's actually a Sagittarius rising, meaning that it's ruled by Jupiter, the planet of abundance and luck. But what is Jupiter doing for Kimi? Well, it's actually expanding his natal Venus at 15 degrees, exactly conjunct. Now, this is ultimate victory and glory. This is like a moral victory. I really like this because even though Monza is going to be home of Ferrari, the Tifosi are going to be strong here. Lewis and Charles will have the spotlight on them. Imagine an Italian driver being the ghost of Monza and pretty much just sneaking his way through the field. I think would be really great. And also shows people that you have really good racecraft too. There's some really nice technical elements to this as well. We've got Mars in Cancer trining Jupiter and Scorpio natally. So this is what I call the slow knife. So rather than fast, aggressive like Max Verstappen, it would be what you call a slow poisoning. So like I said, creeping through the field. The biggest issue is that Mars is in Cancer, which is in its fall. Basically, that means it's exiled. It does not do very well. Now, what that means is you don't go straight forward. You go sideways like a crab. So it's almost like working harder, not smarter. So if you had to take an engine penalty during this time, I'd be like, wait till Mars is in Leo. But then again, you might get a track that's not good for overtaking. So it's one of those things, again, where you have to balance logic with the astrological transits. Mars in Cancer is also going to be trining his natal Uranus in Pisces. Kimi describes himself as an intuitive driver. This is super intuitive and quite unexpectedly positive as well. So this could be quite intriguing to see how he actually executes a recovery drive. Now, a lot of astrologers would say an engine penalty. Okay, we've got restriction. Let's look at Saturn. I would say no, not this time, because this is a planned penalty. It's not an obscure, I just got a 5-second penalty for speeding down the pit lane. this is already planned. So instead of Saturn, I want to look at a high stakes recovery drive. I want to look at something like Mars. I want to see what it's doing. I don't like Mars in Cancer, no, because I think it's very slow. It's uber cautious. It's not aggressive. But the trines to both Jupiter and Uranus, again, Uranus, planet of engineering, Jupiter, lucky, and again, the chart ruler of Monza, I think is going to be a lot better. Now, yes, it's probably not good to take a penalty anytime, but if you were having to take it, Monza's the better place. Okay, so why do I not like Baku? Well, Baku is actually a Capricorn rising like myself, meaning its chart ruler is Saturn. Why on earth would you want to take an engine penalty when you have Saturn as your chart ruler? The planet of constriction and boundary. No, I also think Baku is a little bit more unforgiving than Monza, but that's just my opinion. And I also think that there's a few things there that just don't help. Mars being very, very late stage degree in Cancer, kicking with full force to get into Leo. It's just on a delay. You're also going to face things like red flags and restriction generally, or whereas Saturn for Capricorn rising in the 4th house of home, literal walls around you. You know, you can overtake, but like how many times you're going to start overtaking before you pull something a bit too risky and clip a wall and then you're out, basically. So I don't like Baku. I don't think it's the best chance for him. You've also got Jupiter at 18 degrees conjunct his natal Saturn at 17 degrees. Some might argue that's actually good. Jupiter's benefic status helps Saturn. Yeah, one could argue that, I guess, but I see Jupiter as a megaphone in this instance because, again, the ruler is Saturn, so I don't necessarily think it's the best thing here. Yes, you can look at sect and start seeing, is Jupiter actually the better malefic, shall we say? You can break it down in a traditional sense, but we really also want to be balancing the logic of the situation here and, you know, the fundamental tendencies of Capricorn rising. Again, because I'm a Capricorn rising, I can really speak from experience there. Now, if Kimi is indeed a Scorpio rising, that means his chart ruler is Mars. So again, Mars is in its fall in Cancer. This is not the best time to be having a high stakes recovery drive. You really want to wait until something like October, when Mars is in Leo. It's more ferocious, it's more Max Verstappen-like. I also called a couple of months ago Jupiter going over Kimi's Saturn as being a time of quite difficult public reputation, purely because it feels like a time of really stepping into adulthood. You're not seen as a child anymore. You're not seen as someone who can, oh, it's okay, he's a little baby. No, we can't be doing that, right? The dude is 20, so it's not going to be seen like that. And, you know, just in this past week, we've got every girl attached to him is suddenly his wife, and he's having to come out and be like, she means nothing to me. Then you've also got potentially being sued, you know, legal issues, which we saw with the Justice 8 energies about to go in. We called that. And then you've also got, was it that guy from Stranger Things, Noah Schnapp, was like, I don't, whether it was a joke or not, was basically made a TikTok being like, I love you, to him. And now people are like, is he gay? So if I was his PR marketing manager, I'm like, right, okay, how many things we got going on here? But I would have called it ages ago and said, yeah, had I not, ring the tapes back when I said, get that PR marketing manager in place, because reputation-wise, what the hell, all right? That's because Jupiter expands the restrictive natures of Saturn. And if he is indeed a Scorpio rising, well, that's in your 10th house of public reputation, isn't it? I mean, it's really good when you want to secure a championship because people don't treat you like a child, they treat you like a champion. But what does that also come with it? Right? It's kind of like, yeah, you're now a parent, you have a child, what wonderful, you know, what, that's amazing. And then it's like, oh, you now have to look after that child for the next 18 years of your life. So there are always ramifications to these kinds of transits. So I think Kimi will be the ghost of Monza. I will talk about it in a next episode, but I think it's a better place as well because I think Lewis Hamilton's about to have an absolute dogfight there. So I think it's going to be quite intriguing. I also think for the next part of the season, McLaren is going to be quite competitive. We've got some really nice trines for Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, which might help. So very intriguing, but I want to do this short little episode just to explain why I think if he has to take this engine penalty, he should do it at Monza. For the next episode, we're going to talk about the mid-season review and reflection, me calling the Lewis Hamilton rise. I'm fed up with people saying, who would have thought? I did last year. And then we'll also talk about the rest of 2026, some transits that, in my opinion, might call the championship, and some dates where we might actually see, is it championship over? Like, have we called the winner, right? And then also Zandvoort and Monza, Baku, so on and so forth. Maybe we'll also do some episodes where we sort of reflect on things as well. Let me know what you're interested in. I'm just doing this for a bit of fun as well, because I talk about it all the time. I enjoy it. I don't actually have many friends that are into Formula One. I have one bestie, if she's watching, that's into it. She knows way more than me, but she's awesome. So I don't actually have many people that like it, so this has got my outlet to discuss it. And maybe I'll also do some more stuff on astrology, maybe even MotoGP at some point. But yeah, let me know if you enjoy it, and I will see you for the next episode. Bye.